And welcome to the AEW Dynamite Preview. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture Wrestling. I'm Dudley Boys, Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture, here to look ahead to tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round-up of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Sidgwick to look ahead to tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite off the back of a very eventful collision that we haven't really had a chance to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to watch it neither.
There was an attempted murder and a five-star match.
I need to catch up on this. I've seen the attempted murder, but back to doing a crime spree. It's just silly. It's a little bit silly. I need to watch Dustin Kyle, definitely. I mean, I don't know if it's 5. What is a 5 these days?
Yeah.
Everything is the answer to that. But no, I do need and want to watch that match. Ahead of this particular Dynamite, I think the card looks good. Momentum is still there. If you approach this phase of AEW programming realistically, something I've been trying to hammer on these podcasts, it's not going to feel like the most momentous, gripping, must-see, emotionally intense deal when that's kind of already happened at All In, so we need to settle back into something. So some maintenance shows, some important stuff going on, but like almost by like the design of sequencing, this has to be a little bit... I'm really hesitant to say lull, but, just a,
Yeah, I mean...
maintenance... slow burn table setting phase of the calendar, if you like. But the show itself looks good, very good, insofar as 2 things advertised, which we'll get into imminently. My only concern, and I'm sorry, I forgot to research the name of the arena.
I did.
Oh, what is it?
It's disappointing, mate. I've got to be honest.
We'll find a way.
It's the Wolstein Center in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah. I was hoping we weren't going to bring this up because it's a big arena, 13,000.
Yeah, that is my concern because the last time I was idly scrolling Twitter, which is about 2 minutes ago, I noticed that they are struggling to crack 3,000 in a large building that they are no longer sort of big enough to do regularly on the TV loop. So there are slight concerns about the atmosphere at night, but, it's not the end of the world, and they might be incredibly loud, and they might shoot it really well to obscure it. Who the hell knows?
It's the purest heel babyface matches, I'd say, you've got as well. In terms of everyone hates the Young Bucks and everyone hates MJF.
Yeah, you've got 2 great bits of matchmaking to generate a good atmosphere there. What we're dealing with here, Wolstein, is that Wolstein?
Yes. I was thinking Wolfine, but that's not sexual enough for me.
No, nor me.
Pull mine, my penis.
Yeah.
There you go.
Half works. Nah.
Leave it with you.
No, I can't get past it now. I'm fixated. Foreskin.
Good. The foreskin center.
It's not really good, is it? Foreskin.
Yeah. Foreskin.
Yeah.
Ahead of Forbidden Door.
Yeah,
you're right, by the way. It's pretty much smack bang in the middle of this Dynamite between the fallout from All In and the go. We've got 3 Dynamites, including this one before Forbidden Door, of course.
I'm not sure about this Forbidden Door. I think it is increasingly I don't want to say a dying concept, because if the Lao of Forbidden Door...
That's what everyone's saying.
Yeah, everyone says that. If it teaches us anything, there'll be something... at least one thing on this show, when you see that match graphic, you're like, oh, I'm so glad this show exists. That in fact, it's almost like the identity of Forbidden Door at this point, which arrived quite deep into that New Japan decline, which remains ongoing. There's been some good G1 matches, whatever. 2 years after the Strapped Up Evil, which was the definitive, it's finished. Oh dear, what we're doing here. So there's no real marquee stars left in New Japan. Obviously, there's some incredible workers who've done some great stuff this year, like your Gotos, your Sabre Juniors, like Shingo's, obviously great value.
Goto presumably going off to film Street Fighter as well.
All right, cool. So that's he might not. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it's one of those things where I'm not it's one of those shows where we get the questions a lot on the Q&A of what do you see on the Q&A podcasts. If you want to get involved in those, make sure to follow Sidgwick on X and WhatCulture WWE on X. And, you know, people say, oh, well, what do you think the full card lineup's going to be? Who does this wrestler that I like wrestle at Forbidden Door? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's a big match realistically? So it's a strange pay-per-view to build because it's sort of becoming... It started off as AEW X NJPW, and now with last year's main event being what it was, New Japan being what it continues to be, CMLL obviously has... it's wildly successful in its native Mexico, but you'd struggle to argue that it has the same cultural impact. It hasn't broken through to sort of what we would consider in the UK and the US, the two countries, like mainstream adjacent wrestling circles. It's not what New Japan was in the mid to late 2010s when it was like all over Reddit. They were so big and so acclaimed and so cool as a property that they were expanding into the US. So it's CMLL's like, it's never had that same cachet, if you like. So it's a strange one to build. Increasingly, it's becoming AEW featuring New Japan and CMLL. So I don't know what's really... There's no matches I'm fantasy booking. There's not, and to be honest, like, there's not... And maybe it's my own Twitter and the way you curate it, but that I don't see anyone going, if only this wrestler from New Japan would wrestle this AEW wrestler. Like, in 2022, there was still a bit of that. Like Danielson's ZSJ, what's Okada doing? You don't really have that anymore. So it's a strange one to build.
6 matches on the card right now. I say 6. There's 5 here on the wiki, but I'm assuming a Will Ospreay match to be added.
Considering what he said a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Tanahashi versus TBA. Okada versus Swerve, we know about for the...
Which is AEW mainline.
Yeah. Tony Storm versus Athena.
ROH/AEW mainline.
The rich history of 4 ways continues with Mercedes...
Money.
Facing 3 women, one of which we'll know comes from AEW tonight, one from CMLL and one from Stardom.
That's more like it.
Yeah. And the other one, which also we'll preview in a bit, the Hurt Syndicate versus TBD, depending on this.
Depending on who's up for doing a job, apparently.
Yeah, what do you make of that news story today about them ruffling feathers, let's say, backstage?
I mean, I called it. I don't tend to take too many victory laps because, 1, I get a lot of things wrong, as most pundits do, and 2, it really is sort of obnoxious, arrogant behavior. But very early into the Hurt Syndicate run, I can't remember the exact promo where he first started to really do it, but that MVP just talking over people, like disrupting the rhythm of... Like, it happened to Big Bill and
That's
Brian
what I mentioned
Keith.
on the news, yeah.
Big Bill and Brian Keith, like, MVP just would not let them get a response in, an insult in. And, you know, he's got this weird... I would get annoyed, like, if that was happening to me on live TV. I think the crosstalk's different on a podcast, but I often interrupt people and feel bad, but that's only because my short-term memory is really poor, and I feel like if I can't get it out, then I'm going to forget, and I feel like I've got a salient point to make. So
Pods are sort of longer form as well, aren't they?
Yeah. We're riffing here, you know. So I do feel like a bit of a hypocrite, because I often do what MVP does, but, you know, we're not working together on, like, what is effectively a script, even if it's not some soap opera writer from 2002 and scripted has got this earned horrendous connotation. Like, what MVP is meant to be doing is engaging in a scripted back and forth with someone who needs to look good and he needs to look good. It's meant to be like, you know, this rehearsed, scripted collaboration, and it just feels like this phenomenally awkward thing. I don't know what he feels like he's getting out of it either, because this sort of, I don't want to say backlash, but maybe it is the appropriate word. But again, I'm sorry, but after we first mentioned it on this podcast, it did start to filter this talk into Twitter maybe Reddit. Don't read that, so I wouldn't know. It's really awkward. These MVP promos are incredibly awkward. So I was not surprised at all to read. Was it obviously the Fightful? Usually it is the Fightful report that now people are starting to get a little bit pissed off. But what do you think he gets out of it? Because I don't know.
I don't know. I think the weirdest part of all was when I read that he doesn't like Mike Bailey.
I'm sorry, that's funny. Like I always find it funny in like sitcoms when a character has this intense and irrational dislike of like one of their family members or work colleagues. Like, you ever seen Arrested Development?
Bits of it, yes.
It's the first 2 seasons, and to a lesser extent the third, but the first 2 seasons are almost as magic as TV comedy gets because, well, American sitcoms get. Because American sitcoms, like, you want to feel a sort of cozy warmth to them a lot of the time, like that hangout situation. But you also really need to be funny and clever. Like, I think Arrested Development is like the Bret Hart. You know, when Steve Austin's always like, who's the best wrestler? And if you want to try and be scientific about it, you say, you do the Bret Hart thing and you assign a category, scale it out of 10, and who's got the most 10s is probably the best. It's probably Steve Austin. Promo, look, match catalog, star power. Austin's as close to a 10 as anybody else. Arrested Development season 1 and 2. You seen it, Nicholas?
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 seasons are just, it's magic. It is so clever. Like, some of the comedy, it's like so hilarious. Some of it is so dark, but it's got that warmth and you love living in that world. And it's like some of the gags, like you can watch it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And then the 7th, you notice something in the background. There's so much detail in it.
Insane cast as well.
It's magnificent. Yeah. But there's the mother, Lucille. She's brilliant in it. She's like, they do tricks with editing where one character will say something, but then it's undermined in another setting, like a second later with the editing. She goes, I love all my children equally. And then she just sat there with some vodka and she goes, I don't care for Job. What a thing to say about your child. I don't care for him. It's not like don't love. It's even worse than I don't love him.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm not really bothered. I don't care for
Different.
him. Fantastic. So I love irrational dislike. Like, Speedball Mike Bailey is one of those wrestlers who Hamflet almost hates by default because they get sort of, what's that word he uses? Like, people are cutesy about him. Like, oh
yeah,
Mike Bailey, aren't they so cute and wholesome and dorky? And like, Hamflet hates that. To a degree, I do as well. But I've grown rather fond of Mike Bailey. I think they are fantastic. But it's one thing where it's like, oh God, CM Punk's a complete. Get that?
Yeah.
I love the Young Bucks, but equally I get why people would think, God, I hate them, right?
Yeah.
Like, what you say me for? Mike Bailey. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, why him?
Put some shoes on. Stop smiling so much.
Yeah.
I suppose you can factor this chat.
Sorry, one more thing. See, I've done an MVP. Because I would get frustrated if I was a wrestling fan because you can't really, if you're a wrestler, rather, because you can't really do nothing. Everyone knows where the stories really are going half the time. Everyone's seen every move. Like, it's hard. It must be hard, right? But, like, because fans are so in the know about this process, like politicking almost doesn't work in pro wrestling because if you do it too blatantly, and you try and play dumb or you try and get all the heat you can, you get instantly stigmatized as a malcontent, a politician, someone who's a mark for themselves. It's like when Dax and Mally Black, when Dax Harwood and Mally Black play these games in the media, they think they're being clever, but the average wrestling fan is wise to these games and how all of it works and how these wrestlers try to get over. So when MVP is doing this stuff, maybe he's, you know, underestimating the average wrestling fan and what they know and what they can see.
Yeah.
And maybe he's thinking, if I just completely talk over people and get my cool lines in and make them look like a dickhead, maybe all these people will think I'm cool. I think it's the opposite at this point. Everyone's so aware of the political sort of rhythms of these sorts of things.
The collaborative process.
Yeah, people are just going to think that he's a bit of a power-hungry, egotistical guy who is trying to get his own shit in. Like, we've got a language for this sort of thing now, a vernacular for it. So I don't know what he's playing at. It's weird. Like, again, broadly, very, very positive about AEW. I don't think it's a secret to say that I'm of the personal opinion that this comeback, there's been some great shows, some great matches this year, a little bit overstated for me, realistically, this idea that it's better than ever. All of this is a bit overstated. Tony Khan still has too much Tony Khan in him, even though I think broadly he's excellent at what he does. Like, if this is happening elsewhere, surely within the first 2 promos where MVP's making it very obvious that he wants to be the king of the promo, the guy who gets the most over in the promo, you would just have a word, wouldn't you? You just say, stop doing that. It's really awkward, and you're not getting anyone over.
Well, with regards to the Hurt Syndicate, they are obviously at Forbidden Door defending those tag titles. It's a weird spot for them to be in, as I said to Andy, in terms of what are they? They're heels, but are they heels? They're not received as heels by a lot of the audience, to be perfectly honest. And you look at the lineup of who could face them. So on the other, one side of the bracket, in the final already of this title eliminator tournament, is FTR. They defeat the Bing Bing Ging to secure their spot in that. I assume the final will be either next week or the week after, obviously. But tonight we have the other semi-final, and that is the Young Bucks versus Brodido.
Yeah, absolutely. And they might as well at this point just turn, incidentally, the Hurt Syndicate face.
Yeah.
But you might as well. I know it's kind of a challenge in terms of your match structure when you've got just 2 massive, overpowered baby faces just kicking ass. Like, the whole point is, if you're a baby face, you need to have a little bit of, like, fighting from underneath. So, yeah, the way the characters are portrayed in segments and the way they're received by the fans, it's kind of impossible not to think they're cool. You're really going to struggle to sort of reconcile what makes them popular with how you can build drama in matches in the babyface role. It is kind of a problem. And, when was the last match that blew me away with the Hurt Syndicate? Private Party. It's. I don't want to say we are tiptoeing into failed experiment, but it's just never felt right, has it?
I said on the news, when often you see these things start off and they're clearly going to be established as like a dominant champion, your Moxes, your Roman Reigns, and that sort of thing. Pretty early on, you can often say, right, they're going to just beat everybody for at least half a year. But Darby Allin's there, Hangman Page is there, Will Ospreay's there, Sami Zayn's there, Cody Rhodes is there. Down the road, down the road here, there's the person who dethrones them. Yeah. I don't know who that is with her. I agree that the jet speed shouldn't have beaten them.
That's as much a Tony Khan problem as the presentation of the Hurt Syndicate. Maybe
the closest I came on the news was a because there was talk of in the Fightful article of a like babyface turn for FTR. And
baffling.
Just turned.
They're doing the best work they've done in years.
Yeah, and I was like, maybe 6 months from now, not 6 months.
That's
from
still
when they
early.
started. 6 months from now, you have a redemption arc for the Young Bucks, but that's a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a.
I know where you're going with this.
General AEW tangent corner, but this report that there was a pitch for a FTR redemption, I found baffling on various levels and maybe somewhat troubling, measured against the wider picture, right? Because a few things are going on at once here. A pitch for an FTR redemption babyface turn going over the Hurt Syndicate, while at the same time they are delaying FTR versus Cope and Christian Cage. At this point, given Christian's disastrous promo last week and the general cope of it all, you could do, baby. I know it doesn't make any sense given how the story's been arrived at, where FTR have betrayed Cope. And oh my God, they wrote him out of storylines. God, he's rewritten into storylines. Loves his time off, doesn't he? I understand that the story beats have led us to a point where FTR have to play the heels, but this Cope and Cage stuff's not really working already, so I don't know. But I can't believe that those two ideas, they completely contradict one another, and that suggests a sense of, it doesn't really suggest a sense of like that long-term picture where you can just be reassured that, the good times are going to keep on rolling. And that, for me, is the difference with, I don't know, the top of my head, February 2020. Or, that summer to autumn 2020 period of, as long as we have the knowledge that everything is built around Hangman Page's coronation and they're going to take their sweet time to get there because they've got a plan. That, to me, more than anything, is the feeling of they know what they're doing pretty much at all times. It's going to take a while to get there. Total cliche, but enjoy the ride. This FTR Hurt Syndicate, the fact that they entertained the idea makes me think that this grand tome of long-term booking plans doesn't really exist. This follows the idea that there was an internal debate about whether it was going to be Ospreay or Hangman at All in Texas. Like AEW had that almost unprecedented luxury of we can plan all the storylines while we sort of drip feed the announcements, Double or Nothing, Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, the TNT deal, the TNT debut, and because like they'd made it clear in the media and in sort of press junkets or whatever, we've got 2 years of storylines planned out. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing, and that's another reason why I'm not as high on most people as this about this AEW resurgence. But in terms of this Young Bucks Brodido match, again, like if Young Bucks they're living, I don't want to say they're living their best lives, but they're bang back in form as heels. Maybe Hurt Syndicate situationally play babyface against them at Forbidden Door, because I think that's just a cool match I want to look at, I mean, what else can you say about a Young Bucks TV match? It's going to be sensational in all likelihood, and the cross they have to bear is if it's merely very good, it will almost scan as a disappointment. But I mean, what a position to be in.
Is there any chance that they have Brodido go all the way, not winning the tag titles?
Well, as Hamflet made this point of the wonderful aspect of this Young Bucks arc that they're on, where they're winning matches but they are losing in life, is like it would make sense as characters for them to lose. They could have a lot of fun with losing. Them, at the minute, they are having so much fun, and it's so entertaining watching them like show ass across every element of their presentation, their Titantron, their ring introductions, like they've developed this really cool storyline and characters wherein if they lose, it's almost more entertaining. It's almost more funny.
How much further have they got to fall? Sort of thing.
Exactly. Like this, like the more they lose, there's so much more scope opens up for entertainment value. So in a weird way, you kind of half want them to lose to see how they react to it. Nick Jackson, is so fantastic at like being apoplectic and like really annoyed that I just want to see more of that. And going back to it, like as fun as the Bucks are on this role, as much of FTR are doing the best work they've done in years in AEW, at some point, you're going to have to build a proper, over-established babyface tag team. It's been the recurring theme of the year, wherein the Hurt Syndicate, for a while, were doing some really good stuff. FTR, in a separate zone, if you like, were doing the best work in ages. Young Bucks, but like 3 disparate heel teams. And I know they're coming together at this point, but for a while they were just sort of like operating as if the other teams didn't exist, which doesn't, it's not a division that. Ironically, a division is something that's meant to be like...
Yeah.
At some point they need, and they have done for quite some time, ever since like the Acclaim started getting a little bit old, they've needed a strong babyface tag team that fans can back for a long time.
I was going to say, until you said that, I was going to say, is it Cope and Christian?
I don't know. But as I said before, they need to take Metalingus off Cope just to see how over he really is. I get annoyed at the fans for singing it back. It's not karaoke, lads. It's not karaoke, people. You're there to watch the wrestling, and you are there. You don't have fun with this. You are there to adequately appraise how much you actually like a professional wrestler to ultimately determine their place on the card. And if people were truly reacting to Cope, what he's done in AEW, what he hasn't done, how he hasn't really connected, how he isn't, I know his salary and name dictates that he must have a certain position on the card, right? Why has he truly warranted it? You know what I mean? So let's just take Metalingus off him. It's not karaoke, it's pro wrestling. And then we can sort of go, all right, okay, go on Collision for a few weeks if you want. That's more your lane.
How did they screw with the Young Bucks this week as well?
That's a good question. So we've had the Tron, we've had the jobber entrance, we've had that really funny muted ring introduction.
No locker room for them.
No locker room.
I suggested, I think you were here for this, I suggested giving them name tags.
Name tags.
Hello, my name is Matt. Hello, my name is Nick. Because they say that we can't tell the difference between you two.
You know what you could do, right? And the Young Bucks like inviting fans to do those like side-by-side pictures of, this happened in a match this week on Dynamite. There's going to be a fan out there who's going to notice, that is a callback to something they did 4 years ago. They like those side-by-sides. They like these details, okay? The detail here is that there's like a company-wide hit job of all the staffers that they tormented as EVPs are like having a go at them. Just getting their revenge, if you like. What if the seamstress, because the production crew with the Titantron had their revenge, social media team, we've had Justin Roberts, the announcer. What if the seamstress or like the gear maker, they were maybe once upon a time they were arseholes to them. It's thought, all right, okay, I must have written down the spec of your new gear that you've requested wrong. And was it Zack Ryder early who had that hideous one trunk, one tight?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I like that.
And so what the hell
Ran
is
out of
this?
material, sorry.
Ran out of material and they could poke fun.
Didn't have the budget for the rest.
It's one of those like that does the rounds on X. It's like, I remember when Zack Ryder looked like an asshole in this absolutely stupid gear. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go with the name tags one. I'm going to go Brodido for this one. I think Young Bucks think they've got it won. Cocky, arrogant, and they miss a blind tag to Brody King. And suddenly it's like, he rushes the one, whoever's the legal one, Matt or Nick. And they're like, where'd you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Brodido.
Indeed. The match will be spectacular. I'm going to go with the Young Bucks because AEW have already telegraphed it happening with a backstage interaction last week.
Fair. Also, tonight we have the huge match between MJF and Mark Briscoe. Arguably a sort of number one contenders match to a certain extent, with Hangman Page saying, I'm not going to face you at all. I don't care about your stupid briefcase thing. Contract. What is it? Execute the contract.
Execute the contract.
I don't care about that unless you face Mark Briscoe. And, I mean, like I say, this is going to be raucous.
Yeah, like, this is professional wrestling, baby. Like, everyone grows up on a version of this babyface fighting from underneath, salt of the earth, going up against this obnoxious dickhead, like, above all heel. There's a version of it, because it's the best dynamic ever, realistically, in pro wrestling, obviously it's not nice to put over now, but Austin McMahon, Dusty Flair, the idea of that person who represents the common working man going up against this superior, arrogant dickhead heel who needs knocked off their perch. I'm not saying, by the way, that Mark Briscoe versus MJF can reach those iconic levels, but certainly the dynamic is pure professional wrestling, what you watch it for stuff. I would almost say this is can't fail. MJF is fantastic as a heel. Mark Briscoe is fantastic as a babyface. They are polar opposites who naturally would despise one another. There's a certain magic to this, and it's whether they can bottle it and cast it. And I don't have any doubts whatsoever about this match being absolutely superb. Absolutely superb and different to a lot of pro wrestling matches you see these days. I want to feel like MJF has taken it too far. I want Mark Briscoe to fire up and beat the piss out of him. There's various ways they can arrive at this. MJF should have the he's got that incredible dickhead face. He should pull it right to the hard camera, okay? That one, as he goes for the J Driller, then back body drop, and MJF is a big fan when taking the back body drop of he likes to scream that.
He's very good at that.
J Driller, back drop, swearing, bump. That would create a great near fall. There's so much magic they can do with this, and I've got no doubts whatsoever that this will be tremendous.
I think Briscoe has to win this. It's very, very rare that I go against MJF. I think Briscoe needs to win. And I think the stuff you can do with MJF following this, MJF can be next week, to be honest, guys, I lost, and Mark Briscoe deserves to have a very hard-hitting, kind of exhausting match with Hangman Page at Forbidden Door, and then maybe that, because what's the latest on the Mystico side of things? Because that's obviously what we talked about.
I think he's not shooting angles for that in MLW.
Okay.
So I think it's just outside the confines of AEW right now.
Yeah, because I was going to say, MJF could be well, I guess I'll just be at Forbidden Door with this contract in my hand, just watching the show.
Yeah. But he holds a title in CMLL, so
he does.
Yeah, so he might be wrestling someone from there at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, that's a very good point as well. Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, I think we've talked a lot about, yes, Mark Briscoe for the most part is a bit Sami Zayn. We compare the two of them regularly about how Teflon they are to defeats, but there's a limit. There
is a limit. I would argue that I think they might have stigmatized Briscoe for a bit too long. And they are sort of telling you, it's time for Mark Briscoe, rather than this being this really organic show. And that goes back to last year's booking with the endless conglomeration tags, that really fun on a week-to-week basis. But what did they truly achieve? I would argue very little. So this match, while I've no doubts about it working and it being great, it needs to be at the same time if we are to take Mark Briscoe seriously on this push.
Main event, surely, right? For this show.
Yeah, there's the top of the hour is a very important.
Yeah, they did that with the world title.
A very important quarter hour, so it might go there.
But we mentioned...
it's not going second, put it this way.
No, we mentioned the rich history of four-ways within AEW, and this is a sort of two-for-one thing, because as we mentioned earlier, tonight is the return of Mercedes.
Money.
And her 8 belts, very quickly, before we get into this TBS title qualifier.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha ha ha!
How many of Mercedes Monet's 8 belts can you remember?
Look, it's all about the visual, realistically, and I barely think these belts...
look at it.
It looks incredible. These belts don't have any... I think some of them barely have any really intrinsic value. It's just a way to get money on these indie shows or whatever and get a house, Right, there's the AEW TBS. Bingo! Didn't she lose the New Japan Strong one?
Is correct, yeah. She's not got that one anymore.
She's still got CMLL Women's. Rev Pro? Bingo!
Rev Pro British Women's Champion. I will say one of these is a champ.
She got a House of Glory thing. I know she worked there.
No.
Infamously.
One of these is a championship, but it's never been... Well, it hasn't been defended. You don't really defend this belt. It's just once a year someone wins it in AEW.
Oh, the Owen Hart.
That's the, I think it's fair to say that's the big four. Oh, maybe not. There's a couple she's won recently.
Is there something with City in the name of the promotion? Something City Wrestling?
There is not.
Okay. Wolverhampton Wrestling. I know she was in Wolverhampton. Because she was like, I love Wolverhampton. I'm like,
I think
I've never been. Maybe it's beautiful.
I've been. I think that was Rev Pro. I think that was a Rev Pro show.
Sidgwick
Nick was at one
Football.
of the shows. Go on.
Sidgwick Football History Trivia Corner. Other than the mighty Newcastle United, oh God, what happened to this business? Wolves was the first other kit that I got.
Oh, it's a nice
football
kit.
mad. I think I must have been a jumped up little bastard because I needed calming down with a present. And it was in a charity shop. And the kid likes football. I'll get him the Wolves top. I just liked orange.
Yeah, it's a nice. They've got a lovely shirt for I think this season. I'll tell you the others. She is the Queen of Southside champion.
Yeah.
The EWA Women's Champion, and then I think the two most recent are the ones she won in Poland over the last couple of weeks. Primetime Wrestling Women's Champion and the Bestiar Wrestling Women's Champion. It looks ridiculous, this photo of her with 8 belts. It's very
fantastic.
Funny. And yes, this TBS title links to this four-way tonight because the qualifier, as I mentioned, it's a four-way to get to a four-way at Forbidden Door, featuring several of our favourites, Queen Aminata, Skye Blue, Alex Windsor, and Billie Starkz.
There is a lot of potential for some proper class pro wrestling violence here. Aminata and Starkz, that's kind of lethal. That is the person whose stuff looks the stiffest versus the person who's psychotic enough to take
yes.
the most ridiculous bumps. So that should be great. Skye Blue, kind of underrated as someone who will just happily get thrown about and bumps all over the place. And Alex Windsor, who's in that, we've talked about it loads, but that sort of, that almost signature AEW mold of like the really hard-hitting women, like your haters, again, like your Aminata, your Tony Storms. Surely Windsor to win because of where Forbidden Door emanates.
Mm-hmm.
Landon. It'd be harsh to put her in the match, like an English person, just to not have her win. So, and she's impressed. I mean, it's one of those where for tenure, I would argue that Aminata really deserves a PLE and a pay-per-view, and I hate the word opportunity.
I agree.
A showcase, because she has been not thankless, not doing thankless work, because she is getting over. She has developed a name. Like, people do like her. She is getting over. But, they haven't really positioned her as a star. I don't think she's had a single pay-per-view match yet.
Not that I can think of outside
that,
of the gauntlets maybe. Or...
Yeah. So I think she deserves the shot. As impressive as Windsor has been, that match against Athena was fantastic on Collision. And people raved, I think, about that tag last week. I thought it was good, but people raved about it. So as much as it makes sense for Windsor, who I've no doubts would be really great in the match, and, the London factor should get the home country reaction, that would help the heat, and it just kind of makes sense. I'd feel, if I was Aminata, I'd feel a little bit slighted at this point, but Windsor's class and it's in London, so it's between them two for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made. I don't think it holds much water. There's an argument to be made to have Starkz win because then you're staying in that Athena Mercedes class together, obviously, and the history of that, and like Athena could be world champion walking out of that, and her protege and what have you. But yeah, I don't see past Alex Windsor here, especially like you say with Forbidden Door being in London. I'll be there, and if you're looking for a place to party afterwards, just head over to the Indigo 2. For Sweet Chin Disco, as well as that, if you're going to the Dynamite in Glasgow in a couple of weeks' time, we're doing an after party there as well. All your tickets, dice.fm. But yeah, I've got to go Windsor for this one.
Yeah.
Especially with the stuff that they've been doing with Athena, Tony Storm, Billie Starkz, and Windsor. So I think maybe Billie Starkz takes the pin here.
Yeah, probably.
Because is Skye Blue in the Triangle of Madness?
She sure is. She's one of the points. To rename that. Oh, man, you can do better than Triangle of Madness. It's absolutely
What was the...
It's
we love Willow. We very, very rarely have bad things to say about her. What was her ick thing last week? Trapezoid of Grapazoid?
Yeah.
I did see her doing her promo as Eddie Kingston on X. Not from AEW.
I haven't seen that yet. I'd
quite fun.
Meaning to get around to it.
But yeah. And nice to see Mercedes back, obviously.
I
think she hasn't lost anything by not winning the title from Tony Storm.
No.
Like those 8 belts are just blinding. Ridiculous. So hang on. 1 belt around the waist.
Ultimo Dragon.
1 round the neck. And then the rest on the arms. Is that how you do it? Or you can like strap them to your legs or something if she gets any more. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Right. Finally, circling back to something we mentioned at the beginning. What a question to be asking. Oh, yeah, no ladies' night, obviously, this week with, surprisingly enough, Michael Hamlet's on holiday.
Another day off.
He's actually on holiday with his family. He's on his travels today, so safe travels too.
5 months in America earlier this year. You know, just keeps on racking them up.
But as I mentioned...
Roman Reigns works more than him.
As I mentioned at the start of the podcast, we have to circle back to the attempted murder and how they follow that up with regards to...
Is it the law?
You sense there will be more follow-up with the Death Riders and Darby Allin. If you missed this on Collision, by the way, it's worth checking out the clip because we often use a bit of hyperbole when it comes to certain things in wrestling. No, Darby Allin, well, technically, Mox was on the hunt for Darby because of obviously Darby somewhat getting involved in the world title match last week. He just dived onto the rest of the Death Riders whilst the match was going on. But Mox was on the hunt during Collision for Darby Allin. Darby attacked him and literally tried to throw him onto some train tracks.
Yes. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. I don't care for that sort of thing. You can convey that you hate one another without resorting to something that just completely stretches suspension of disbelief. I've got a pitch for where this goes next. Darby got the better of the Death Riders on Dynamite last week with the balcony dive.
So glad they did that in that venue.
Yeah. And then they are now... Now, Darby's trying to kill Moxley. A receipt is due for the Darby Allin character.
Yes.
Like the Death Riders need to, reestablish their heat, make it look like they've got his number, and then it's going to be a really hard job to actually get at Jon Moxley, even this dethroned version of him. Looking ahead at Forbidden Door, Moxley, Claudio, Yuta versus Darby +2. We could reform the dudes with attitudes.
Hang on.
Oh my God.
Darby, Shingo, and somebody else.
Yeah.
Because it's not Sting no more.
No. That could be really good fun. I didn't even think of that.
And then Shingo and Mox have got great chemistry as well, so there's lots to like there.
I was thinking maybe they attack Darby Allin tonight and attempt to bury him alive under some soil and what have you, and then they can say, "We've sure made a mountain out of that molehill." Because he went up.
I mean, it's about time they, really aggressively marketed this absolutely remarkable achievement.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
A remarkable achievement.
Oh, that's a nice new set of windows you've got there, John. Well, they're from Everest. Put Darby Allin through the window. Mm-hmm. All options. Now we'll wait and see which one they They choose. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts ahead of AEW Dynamite tonight.
What a downer.
In the comment section below. And you can let us know you can let us know your thoughts on X. Culture WWE. Well, actually, you can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can follow our brilliant producer, Adam Nicholas, at
It's Adam Nicholas.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow to review AEW Dynamite. Got the NXT review coming your way later on today. But for now, this has been the Dynamite Preview. My thanks to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you soon.